Your doctor has almost certainly never sat you down and told you which snacks are good for your kidneys. I want to tell you why, because the reason says everything. A kidney appointment in this country runs about 12 minutes. There is a billing code for a prescription and a billing code for a scan. And there is no code at all for the 10 quiet minutes it would take to explain what you should be reaching for at 3 in the afternoon. So the food talk is the first thing cut every single time. It is one of the most valuable things that never fits inside the room. I'm Dr. William Lee, and in 20 years of internal medicine, I have sat across the desk from hundreds of people over 60 watching their creatinine climb on a lab report, feeling like there was nothing in their own two hands they could do about it. There is something you can do. Today, I'm going to give you 5 ordinary snacks, the kind sitting in any grocery store you already shop at. And I'm going to show you exactly why each one works down at the level of the tiny filters inside your kidneys. Exactly how to prepare each one so that it helps your kidneys instead of quietly harming them. And the snacking mistakes I watch good, careful people make every week that are working against them without them having any idea. At least half of what I tell you in the next few minutes, I would wager you have never heard from anyone. Before we go a single step further, I want to be straight with you because you have been promised things before by people on the internet. I am not going to tell you these 5 snacks will cure your kidney disease, or reverse it, or undo years of damage. That would be a lie, and you would be right to close this video on me. What I am telling you is something quieter and far more honest. The food you put in your body, chosen carefully and prepared correctly, genuinely changes how hard your kidneys have to work. And a kidney that is working a little less hard is a kidney that holds its ground for longer. I'm not selling you anything here. This is physiology, and it is backed by the kidney specialists at the National Institutes of Health and the kidney diet guidance from the Mayo Clinic and the Cleveland Clinic. Let me tell you who I'm talking to. If your last lab showed a creatinine creeping up past 1.2 or 1.5 or higher, if a doctor has said the words stage 3 to you, maybe even stage 4, if you are getting up 2, 3, 4 times a night to use the bathroom and you have started to dread it, you are exactly the person I made this for. And the plan is simple, so you know it's worth staying to the end. First, I'll show you in about 90 seconds what creatinine actually is and why that number climbs. Because once you understand that, every one of these 5 snacks will make complete sense. Then we go snack by snack. By the end, you will know which 5 to buy this week, how to prepare each one so it works for your kidneys and not against them, and you'll understand your own lab report better than you ever have. Let me give you the 90 seconds almost nobody gives you. Creatinine is a waste product. Every time your muscles do their job, they burn a fuel called creatine for energy, and creatinine is the leftover waste from that process. It rides around in your blood until your kidneys strain it out and send it down into your urine. So, in a healthy body, creatinine is made all day and cleared all day, and the level in your blood stays low and steady. Now, your kidneys do that straining through about 1 million microscopic filters each, and those filters have a name worth knowing: nephrons. When the nephrons are damaged by years of high blood sugar, by blood pressure that ran too high for too long, by the slow grind of chronic kidney disease, that straining slows down. The creatinine you're making no longer gets cleared as fast as it's produced, so it backs up in the blood. And that is the moment your lab report starts showing 1.5, 1.8, 2.0 climbing. Now hold on, because here is the part that changes everything for you. That number is not only a measure of how broken the filters are, it also responds to 2 things you have your hands on every day. 1, how much waste you are asking your kidneys to clear in the first place. 2, how much ongoing damage the filters are taking from inflammation and from the blood vessels that feed them. Those 5 snacks each work on one of those levers. Less waste to clear, less damage to the filter. That is the entire game. And your fork is one of the few places you actually get a vote. The first snack is one I recommend to nearly every kidney patient I see. And when I ask whether they eat them, almost all of them say no. Red grapes. And I can already hear the objection because I hear it in the exam room every week. Doctor, grapes are sugar, and I'm watching my blood sugar. Stay with me because the answer is more interesting than a flat yes or no. Red grapes carry a compound called resveratrol. You've heard of it from red wine, But what the wine label never mentions is that the resveratrol in a whole grape is far more usable by your body than anything you'd get from alcohol. And alcohol is the last thing a struggling kidney needs more of. What resveratrol does inside the kidney is calm down oxidative stress, which is the cellular wear and tear caused by unstable molecules called free radicals in a damaged kidney. That wear runs faster than it should, and it scars the nephrons a little more each year. Resveratrol acts as an antioxidant, settling that process down. The grape skin adds a second layer, a group of flavonoids with the names chorotin and anthocyanins, the same pigments that make the skin deep red and purple. And early research connects them to less protein leaking into the urine. If you've been told there's protein in your urine, or you've noticed your urine looking foamy in the bowl, that foam is protein your filters are letting slip through when they shouldn't. Then there's the piece that matters most for a kidney, the one those wine articles skip entirely. Red grapes are low in potassium. A half-cup serving holds only about 88 milligrams. Compare that to a single banana, which carries over 400. For anyone in stage 3 or stage 4, that gap is the whole ballgame, because damaged kidneys struggle to clear extra potassium. And potassium climbing too high in the blood can throw off your heart's rhythm. So a fruit that is genuinely sweet and satisfying and still kind to your potassium is rare and worth knowing about. Now, how to eat them so they help. Fresh and whole, washed well, kept in the fridge. A half cup, which is around 15 to 20 grapes, in the mid-morning or mid-afternoon. And here's a tip I give my own patients that almost no one teaches. Pair that half cup with a small bit of protein, a few unsalted walnuts, or a little low-sodium cheese. The protein slows how fast the natural sugar hits your blood, so you get the resveratrol without the spike. 2 mistakes to avoid. Do not drink grape juice instead, because juicing strips the fiber and concentrates the sugar into something your blood sugar will hate. And do not reach for raisins, because drying grapes into raisins concentrates the potassium dramatically, up around 750 milligrams in a 4-cup, which takes a kidney-friendly food and turns it into a kidney problem. Fresh red grapes, not green, which carry far less of the good pigments. The color is the medicine. Has a doctor ever told you to cut back on protein because of your kidneys? If so, I want you to hear this next part very carefully, because getting it wrong cuts both ways. Too much of the wrong protein overworks a failing kidney. Too little protein of any kind, and you start wasting away the muscle that keeps you upright and out of a fall. The second snack threads that needle, and it's cooked egg whites. Here's why egg whites are almost in a class of their own for someone over 60 with kidney trouble. When your body breaks down protein, it leaves behind waste. And one of those wastes is ura, which shows up on your labs as BUN, blood ura nitrogen. A kidney that's already behind has to work harder to clear that ura. The old advice was simply to slash all protein to take the load off. But that advice quietly created a second disaster, because people over 60 are already losing muscle every year to a process called sarcopenia, the steady age-related thinning of muscle. And the twist here catches even some doctors. When you lose muscle, your creatinine can actually read worse, because muscle is where creatinine comes from in the first place. And a frail body that's prone to falling is in far more danger than the lab number alone suggests. So the smart move was sitting there the whole time. Choose a protein your body uses almost completely, one that leaves very little waste behind. That is exactly what an egg white is. Egg whites carry what's called the highest biological value of any protein you can eat. In plain terms, your body uses almost all of it and leaves behind very little waste for your kidneys to mop up. Less leftover waste means less strain. And for someone whose bun is already up, that's real relief. And there's a bonus that matters in stage 3 and 4. The white of the egg is almost entirely free of phosphorus, a mineral that damaged kidneys can't clear well and that builds up to weaken bones and stiffen blood vessels. Nearly all of an egg's phosphorus lives in the yolk. So when you eat the white and leave the yolk, you get top quality protein with almost none of the phosphorus burden. To prepare them, scramble 2 or 3 egg whites in a touch of olive oil, no salt, with fresh herbs like chives or parsley for flavor, or hard-boiled eggs, and simply lift out the yolks. If you buy the cartons of liquid whites, read the label like a hawk, because some brands add sodium, and you want one under about 100 milligrams a serving. The single biggest mistake I see is eating one lonely egg white and calling it a snack. For holding on to muscle, you want roughly 10 to 15 grams of protein at a sitting, which is about 3 to 4 whites. And one honest caution: if you are in advanced kidney disease, stage 4 heading toward 5, your protein needs get individual, so settle the exact amount with your own kidney doctor. For most of you earlier in this, smart protein like this is a gift, not a threat. This third one is going to surprise you, and has surprised half my colleagues too. Potatoes. The very food nearly every kidney diet sheet in America tells you to cross off the list. I'm going to tell you to put it back on. And the reason comes down to one preparation trick that has been sitting in the kidney textbooks for decades and almost never makes it out to actual patients. The reason potatoes get banned is potassium, and potatoes do carry a lot of it, but potassium has a property most people never learn. It dissolves in water. It is water soluble, which means you can physically pull a large share of it out of the potato before you ever eat it using a method renal dietitians call leaching. Here's how it works. Peel your potatoes, slice them thin, about 1/8 of an inch, because the thinner the slice, the more surface area touches the water. Soak those slices in a big pot of warm water for at least 4 hours and change the water once partway through. Then drain them, rinse them, and cook them in fresh, unsalted water. Done right, that process pulls 30 to 50% of the potassium out of the potato and leaves it in the water you throw away. You are not getting it down to zero. A leached potato still has potassium, so this is not a free pass to eat a mountain of them. But it takes a high potassium food and turns it into a moderate one that many people in stage 3 can fit back into their week with their kidney doctor's blessing. A cracker would be easier, I know that, but quality of life on a kidney diet is the whole reason people stick to the diet at all. A potato is warm and filling and easy to chew and genuinely satisfying in a way that a rice cake and a celery stick will never be. When people feel starved and deprived, they quit the plan entirely. And quitting does far more damage than a carefully prepared potato ever could. So take 2 small potatoes, leach them as I described, boil them in fresh water, and mash them lightly with a drizzle of olive oil, some rosemary, and a squeeze of lemon. Portion about half a cup. 2 mistakes here, and they're big ones. First, do not microwave the potato thinking it's the same thing. Microwaving cooks it, but does no leaching at all. The potassium stays locked inside. You have to do the slicing and the soaking and the boiling. Second, do not let anyone tell you to swap in a sweet potato because it's healthier. For a general diet, maybe for your kidneys, a sweet potato is loaded with potassium, over 500 milligrams in one medium, and unless you leach it the very same way, it is not the safer choice. A kidney diet and a general health diet are 2 different things, and mixing them up causes real harm. So before we keep going, I want to give you the quick favor I ask for in every video because it genuinely keeps this channel going. If this is helping you, tell me your age down in the comments and tell me your latest creatinine or GFR if you know it. I read them and they steer which videos I make next. And a quick tap on like helps YouTube put this in front of more people over 60 who are scared of their lab numbers and have no one explaining it to them. That's all. Now back to it because the last 2 snacks are the ones most people have never once connected to their kidneys. The 4th snack I recommend without a moment's hesitation to nearly every kidney patient I have at any stage, and that is cauliflower. The reasons run deeper than the diet sheets let on. Start with the basics because they're already excellent. Cauliflower is naturally low in potassium, around 150 milligrams in a half cup. It's low in phosphorus. It's low in sodium. And it's rich in vitamin C and folate, which matters because kidney patients, especially anyone on dialysis or a very restricted diet, tend to run low on exactly those water-soluble vitamins. But here's the deeper layer, the part you won't hear in the produce aisle. Cauliflower belongs to the cruciferous family alongside broccoli and cabbage and Brussels sprouts, and those vegetables carry a compound called indole 3-carbinol. Your body converts it into a substance researchers shorten to DIM, and DIM appears to quiet inflammation through a master control switch in your cells called the NF-kappa B pathway. That word inflammation is central to why kidneys keep getting worse. In chronic kidney disease, a low constant smolder of inflammation is one of the main reasons the creatinine keeps climbing, even in people who feel basically fine. I'm going to be careful here and not oversell it. The research on this compound and the kidneys specifically is still young. And I am not telling you cauliflower lowers your creatinine on its own. What I am telling you is that calming that background inflammation is one of the foundations of slowing kidney disease, according to the kidney specialists at the NIH. And cauliflower is a genuinely good, safe way to feed that effort. There's one more thread worth pulling, and it connects to those nighttime bathroom trips that may be wearing you down. Cauliflower is high in choline, a nutrient that supports the health of the kidney's tubule cells, the cells responsible for concentrating your urine and reabsorbing water. When those cells struggle, the kidney makes more urine and weaker urine, and you're up again at 2 in the morning. The evidence linking dietary choline to that symptom is still early, so I'll hold it loosely, but the mechanism is sound and the food is harmless, so it costs you nothing to lean on it. How to eat it? My favorite is what I call kidney rice. Pulse raw cauliflower fouettes in a food processor until they look like rice. Then, microwave for 2 to 3 minutes with no water and season with herbs, a squeeze of lemon, and a little olive oil. Warm, filling, and easy. Or, roast the fouettes at 400 degrees with olive oil and a little garlic powder until the edges go golden. The one mistake to dodge is the frozen bag of cauliflower that comes swimming in cheese sauce. Read that label and you'll find a flood of sodium and phosphate additives, both of which are hard on your kidneys. Buy it plain, fresh, or plain frozen and season it yourself. Now, the fifth snack, and this is the one that genuinely stops people, including, I'll admit, a few physicians who haven't kept up with the kidney nutrition research. Macadamia nuts. If you've been told to avoid all nuts because of your kidneys, I want to explain why that blanket rule is out of date, and why macadamia in particular sit in a spot all their own. Most nuts really are a problem for kidney patients, and the blanket advice came from somewhere real. An ounce of almonds carries about 200 milligrams of potassium and 136 milligrams of phosphorus. For someone in stage 3 or 4, that's a serious hit on both minerals at once. But the macadamia is built differently. An ounce, which is about 10 to 12 nuts, holds only around 104 milligrams of potassium and 53 milligrams of phosphorus. Those numbers are dramatically lower than any other common nut, and they change a macadamia from a food to avoid into a food you can actually enjoy. And it brings something your kidneys quietly need. Macadamia are rich in monounsaturated fat, specifically oleic acid, the same heart-friendly fat that makes olive oil good for you. That matters for your kidneys, not only your heart, because kidney disease and heart disease travel together. The kidney specialist at the NIH and the heart specialist at the American Heart Association both make the same hard point. A person with chronic kidney disease is far more likely to die from a heart event than from kidney failure itself. The same inflammation and the same vessel damage that wreck kidneys also wreck the arteries. Monounsaturated fats help lower the harmful LDL cholesterol and improve the health of the lining of your blood vessels. And healthier vessels mean better blood flow into the kidney, which is exactly what your filters need to keep doing their work. There's also early research suggesting these good fats may help protect the filter against that protein leakage we talked about, while diets heavy in the wrong saturated fats may worsen it. I'll hold that one loosely too, but the direction is consistent and the food is sound. Macadamia are also one of the few genuinely satisfying crunchy snacks for someone managing both kidney trouble and blood sugar, because they barely move your glucose at all. To eat them right, portion control is everything because they are calorie debts. 1 ounce, 10 to 12 nuts, and no more. Buy them raw and unsalted, or if you can only find roasted, get dry roasted with no oil and no salt. Skip anything with caramel or chocolate or flavoring, which sneak in sugar and sodium and phosphate additives. A habit I love. Pre-portion 10 to 12 nuts into a little container and pair them in the afternoon with 4 or 5 of those red grapes from Snack 1 if your potassium budget allows. Now you've got a nourishing, kidney-conscious snack that takes zero preparation. One last warning that has nothing to do with you and everything to do with the dog at your feet. Macadamia nuts are toxic to dogs. Keep them well out of reach. Let me tell you about a patient I'll call Walter because his story is the reason I keep making these. Walter came to me at 67. His creatinine had drifted up over a couple of years to where his chart now read stage 3 kidney disease, and his blood pressure and blood sugar had both run high for most of his 60s. What he said to me that first visit is what I hear constantly. He felt fine, which made the numbers feel unfair, and he'd left every appointment with a new prescription and not one word about his own kitchen. He was up 3 times a night. He'd quietly stopped traveling because of it, and he was frightened in the specific way people get frightened when a number keeps climbing and nobody has handed them anything to do about it. So we did 2 things. He kept taking every medication his kidney doctor prescribed because food never replaces those. And we got specific about what he ate between meals, using the exact 5 snacks I just gave you. He swapped his afternoon crackers for grapes and a few macadamia. He learned to leach a potato. His wife started making the cauliflower rice. Over the months that followed, alongside his medications and his regular labs, his numbers steadied. I want to be careful with my words here because this part is where people overpromise. His creatinine did not drop back to normal. It stopped climbing and held. His blood pressure eased and the nighttime trips fell from 3 down to 1. The thing he told me he was most grateful for was not the labs at all. It was that he finally felt like a participant in his own kidneys instead of a bystander watching them fail. I want to be honest about the other ending too, because I've seen it more times than I'd like. The person who hears all this means to start and never quite does, and comes back a year later with a number that's moved the wrong way and a smaller set of options. The difference between those 2 stories is rarely willpower or money. It is almost always that one of them started with a single, small change this week while it was still on their mind, and the other waited for a someday that didn't come. So here is the single thread that runs through all 5 of these snacks. The one idea I most want you to carry out of this video. Every one of them works by lowering the workload on your kidneys' filters. That's the whole secret, and once you see it, you'll never look at your plate the same way. The egg whites lower the waste your kidneys have to clear. The grapes and the cauliflower lower the inflammation that scars the filters year after year. The macadamia protect the blood vessels that carry blood into the kidney to be cleaned. And the way every one of them is prepared, the leaching, the unsalted cooking, the whole fruit instead of the juice, exists to keep potassium and phosphorus and sodium from piling up on a system that can no longer sweep them away. That reframes your whole creatinine number. For years, you've probably been told that number is simply a readout of how damaged your kidneys are, a verdict handed down to you. It's more than that. It's also a running tally of how hard you're making those kidneys work. And that part has your fingerprints on it 3 times a day. You did not cause your kidney disease by being careless. Kidney trouble at this stage of life is the slow sum of decades of blood pressure and blood sugar and aging vessels. Processes that started long before you had any reason to know. But the workload starting today is yours to lower. And lowering it is one of the very few levers in this whole disease that you hold in your own hand, without a prescription, without a COA, without anyone's permission. So what do you actually do tonight? Let's make it concrete. 1. Make a small grocery list right now while you're thinking about it. Fresh red grapes, a carton of eggs or liquid egg whites, a couple of potatoes, a head of cauliflower, and a small bag of raw, unsalted macadamia nuts. That's the whole list. 2. Pick just one snack to start with, not all 5, because the person who tries to change everything by Monday usually changes nothing by Friday. The easiest place to begin is swapping your usual afternoon snack for a half cup of red grapes with a few macadamia. Do that one thing consistently, and you've already started. 3. Learn to leach a potato this week, because it's the one skill on this list nobody ever taught you, and it gives you back a food you thought was gone for good. 4. Get the salt out of the way you prepare all of it. No added salt. Season with herbs and lemon and a little olive oil, and read the label on anything that comes in a bag or a carton, watching for sodium and for the word phosphate. 5. And this is the one that ties it all together. Keep every appointment with your kidney doctor and keep getting your labs drawn. Know your own numbers, your creatinine, your GFR, your potassium, your phosphorus. These snacks work alongside your medical care, never instead of it. And now, the line I promise you in every video, the one that matters most. There is a point where this stops being a kitchen matter and becomes a phone call matter. If you are in stage 4 or stage 5 kidney disease, or you've ever been told your potassium runs high, do not overhaul your diet from a YouTube video, mine included. Potassium and protein in advanced kidney disease have to be dialed into your exact kidney function, and the wrong amount of potassium is genuinely dangerous to your heart. Take this video to your kidney doctor or a renal dietitian and build your version of it together. I gave you the mechanism first so that this caution makes sense and so you'll actually act on it. Here's what I want you to walk away believing tonight. A creatinine number that keeps creeping higher is not something you simply ignore and hope will improve on its own. It is a signal that your kidneys may be under increasing stress, and the sooner you respond, the better your chances of protecting the function you still have. Waiting and watching without making any changes is rarely the best strategy when your body's filtration system is asking for help. Today, you learned 5 practical, affordable foods that you can find in almost any grocery store. Foods that may help reduce some of the workload placed on your kidneys every single day. More importantly, you now know exactly how to prepare and use them in a way that fits into real life, not some complicated or expensive diet plan. Small, consistent changes are often far more powerful than drastic ones that only last a week or two. Think about what your kidneys do for you. Every minute of every day, they filter waste from your blood, balance fluids, regulate important minerals, and help keep countless systems in your body running smoothly. They have been doing that job non-stop since before you were born. They never take a vacation. They never get a day off. Yet most people do not think about them until a blood test reveals a problem. The good news is that your next steps are completely within your control. Start adding these kidney-friendly foods to your routine. Stay hydrated as directed by your healthcare provider. Pay attention to follow-up lab work, and if your creatinine levels continue to rise, make sure you discuss it with your doctor rather than assuming it is just part of getting older. Your kidneys have spent a lifetime working quietly behind the scenes to keep you healthy. Giving them a little support today may help them continue doing that job for years to come. The choices you make starting now can have a real impact on how well those filters serve you in the future.